Well, yeah, I mean, well, no, I don't.
Hi Corey, how you going?
Good, thanks, Mum. How are you?
Good. I'd like to start with your diagnosis and your background. You've been diagnosed with Asperger's, bipolar, schizoaffective disorder, a variety of other diagnoses that come with other things, PTSD, OCD, anxiety, social anxiety disorder. You're an alcoholic, 5 years and 4 months sober. No smoking, vaping or illegal drugs. And I've seen you passed out on the lawn. I've seen you smoke 80 cigarettes a day. After coming off everything, then you had a mental spiritual awakening, I believe. So everything came to the surface for you then. And you had a 6-week stay at Cumberland Mental Hospital in 2016. And it's been a huge road for you.
Yeah.
Huge journey. I'd like to tell your story with your help because I don't think it's unique. I think there are a lot of people out there self-medicating. I know as your mum, I think you're truly awesome. I'm biased.
Think you are too, Mum.
Thank you. And you have a lot of wisdom to share. So when somebody looks at you and there is no apparent disability, that's what really irks me, because this film initially, my intention was about judgment. I've always felt strongly that people are so fixed on their ideas and their thoughts. So what are your thoughts where you are on this journey?
In what way?
What are your thoughts on what you've learnt with what you've been through?
In terms of the diagnosis, I've met a lot of people over the years that it's very easy to use that as an excuse. Mm. It's very easy to put yourself in a box and justify certain behaviours because you have that excuse to say that. And I caught myself doing it today. I was at a shop and I didn't look somebody in the eyes, and I thought, oh, it's because I've got Asperger's, and it's very easy for me to think that. But then I can tell myself, I've read books on how to communicate with people. I've read books on body language, and I went from not being able to look somebody in the eyes, not being able to talk to people, to becoming a salesman, just to prove that I could do that. What I've learned is a lot of these diagnoses don't really mean much. I've got a lot of diagnoses. To a doctor, in some ways it does, help. To have the explanation, and the medication can help, but it can also be a problem within itself, because you have a box, you have a paradigm, you have an excuse to behave a certain way because you're in this box, you're in this paradigm, and you're able to excuse certain behavioral traits based on these diagnoses.
What's the biggest challenge for you? Just living day to day, what's the biggest challenge?
It's hard to say you know, to pick just one thing.
I know medication makes you sleep sometimes 12 hours, and without it, you have problems.
Yeah, you know, I'm working on things at the moment. I'm doing research into healthy sleep. Making that a priority at the moment. Looking at things like staying away from blue light in the evenings, making sure to get sunlight in the mornings because that sets the circadian rhythm and releases cortisol. So yeah, I'm just at the moment prioritizing getting in a routine. It's hard to say exactly what is the hardest. You know, it's really just for me, it's a marathon, and I've just got, you know, some things I'm dealing with. But you know, I don't really look at it like, you know, these are challenges for me. These are just, you know, it was a hand I was dealt, and you know, I just have to keep moving forward.
And without medication, you have hallucinations and see things and.
Well, you know, it's complicated. What the medication does is it, you know, I guess it quietens my mind down, and when I'm not on it, you know, it can be a lot to deal with. In saying that, though, I have in the past gone off medication for, you know, over a year, and been well. I'd say, you know, it's really just about being able to sit with my thoughts and developing more concentration and focus through meditational practices and breathing and being able to go back into that place again, and yeah, I'll be okay. I'm confident in the future that, you know, I'll be able to get off medication again, and even if that does mean, you know, whatever that entails, I'm willing to take that on.
So at the moment, what helps you is you're doing boxing, you do yoga, and how does that help?
Yoga is really just about being present, breathing, ice baths. You know, it's
You do ice baths daily, don't you? Nearly every day.
Yeah, the ice baths for me are, it's like a very spiritual thing, where I meditate and I surrender to the cold, because if you fight the cold, you shiver, you burn up body heat. So it's really just about being at peace in the cold, and that's very much, you know, a good example of, you know, my life as well. You know, to be able to surrender to a lot of these situations and being able to be at peace. When you fight it, that's really the when it gets dangerous, and when I've had bad things, and spiritually as well. If you see people on spiritual paths that have, you know, explored things like, you know, Kundalini and visualization meditations, and, you know, really sort of explored and opened different doorways without the proper grounding and without being really aware of what they're getting themselves into and not being grounded, they can open themselves up to, you know, it could be spiritual forces, but it could also just be, you know, undealt with emotional experiences. You know, there's so many different perspectives and ways that you could look at that experience. So yeah, for me, it's really just about really surrendering.
Now, what I've noticed is you've got a stronger ethical and moral will through all of this, a stronger mindset. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
So is there anyone in your situation that's struggling, that might be drinking, drugging, or just lost? What would you recommend? What would you recommend as a priority for them? I know you go to AA and you find that's, you know, from your father being an alcoholic, and I've been in Al-Anon, family and friends of alcoholics, since I was in my 20s. Do you find AA, what would you advise young people to do? Is there anything that you could think of, or?
Yeah, I'd just think about the consequences. Think about the next day. Think about 5 minutes after whatever it is you want to do, before you go and blow your paycheck on drugs or alcohol. Think about how you're going to feel when the drugs and alcohol wears off, or when you've got no money in the bank. Think about, you know, seeing your mum when you're in hospital. Think about, are you okay with that? And if you're okay with that, you know, do whatever it is you want to do. But if you're not okay with that, maybe just think about if that's really what you want to do with your life.
Thank you. Thanks for talking to me.
No
I'm
worries.
very
Thanks,
proud
Mum.
of you, sweetheart.
Love you, Mum.
Love you.